Hi everyone, Melissa here today from Melissa Made, and I'm sharing at She's a Sassy Lady, and I'm going to share with you how to make this card, and specifically the background that's on this card. This is just Kraft paper I used, and I colored the image first with my Copics and realized that I didn't really have any good papers that would match her, so I needed to do something a little different. So the products that you'll need today is either a Spellbinders, this is what I used, a Spellbinders Impressibilities, which is just the metal embossing sheet, or you could even use a Cuttlebug folder like this. You will need some stamp, and the stamp that I used is a Some Odd Girl clear stamp. I think her name is Dancer, and it comes with the little music note and the treble clef and her, and then 2 sentiments. And I'm going to be using the sentiment that says "Be Passionate," as well as these 3 items. You'll need some ink to stamp her with and stamp the sentiment with and the notes. And you'll also need an ink, and I'm using the Black Soot from Tim Holtz, the distressed inks, and this. The reason I like to use these is because when you use the distress inks on any of your items, all you have to do is rinse them with water and it'll disappear. So this is really great for that. The Memento, on the other hand, is great for using with Copic markers, and so I stamp her with the black Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and then I color with my Copics. And I'm not really going to talk about that so much. I really want to talk about just making your own paper using Kraft and then some ink and some of those folders that I mentioned. The red paper is Ruby Slippers, and I think this is Basil cardstock, and I use that to trim out my paper here and also here. And then the pearls is just a sheet of white pearls, and I took my R29 Copic marker and I colored them and I let them dry, and you can see they match perfectly then because I also used an R29 in her dress. So anytime you have something white and it doesn't really match your card, you can always use your Copics to color those right up, and they look great. Since they're alcohol markers, they dry fast, and then they'll retain their color there. You'll also need a paper cutter, and I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'll tell you that I did color this up with Copics. And then I used these scissors. Someone asked me on my blog the other day, how do you get these cut out? I don't use a Cameo. I don't use any cutting machine. I use these Cutter Bee scissors, and I'm telling you, they are amazing. I'm probably due for another pair because I've noticed some of my spots are getting a little jagged. But all you have to do is put your paper in the crease here and just move your scissors really closely around the image, and you'll get perfect cuts every time. I'm telling you, these are the best scissors I've ever used for that kind of thing. I like my tonic scissors for cutting other things, but for cutting out small images like this and even these little circles that I cut out, Cutter Bee scissors, they're amazing. You can pick them up at Michael's. You can use your 40% off coupon. They're great. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with Kraft paper, and we're going to cut this at a 4 1/4 by 11, and then I'm going to fold it in half, and it's going to be a top fold A2 size card. Okay, so I've cut this piece at a 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2 for my A2 size top fold card. I cut this piece a little bit smaller than that, and I think I took a 1/4 off of each end. So now this piece is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. And then I've got my folder out here, and all I'm going to do is lay it over this piece of Kraft paper and pull open my distress inks and stamp this like this. You know, stamp my ink pad on there, and then all I have to do is go over this just like this, all over the whole thing. And I'm going to continue to do that until I like the coverage I have. And when I'm finished, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just been doing this all over the whole thing. And I'm just going to add a few more here and there. And then I'm going to lift it, and you'll see I have a gorgeous pattern on there. Isn't that pretty? Kraft paper is really nice for this too because it really shows up the black. Your other option for this, and I'm just going to flip this piece over, is to take an embossing folder like this. This is a Cuttlebug folder. And when you open it, you want to find the smooth side, the side with the indentations, not the side that's actually going to do the embossing, but the other side of your folder. And you take a brayer like this, and you rub it in your ink pad, and then you just rub it on here. And I've shown this before in other videos. A brayer works nice for this. But you're going to just rub this all over on the side, and you can actually see the pattern starting to come out on the Cuttlebug folder. Let me move this. And you just rub enough ink all in here. And you don't even have to emboss when you do this. Next, all you're going to do is take your blank side, put it down in your folder, and then you'll use your brayer again, cleaned off, mind you, and roll over the top of this. I'm going to try and do it with just my hands in case you don't have a brayer that you can use. You can use an ink sponge to get the ink on the other side. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. You could also go ahead and do the embossing. Not sure how well it's going to work with just my hands, so let's see. I'll even try flipping it over and smoothing it a little bit down. Lift it up. It didn't work very well that way. You're going to have to either emboss it. You can see it kind of put a pattern on there, but not very good. So you're probably going to have to emboss it, but you can do it the same way. Ink up the side of your folder, put this in, close it up, and then emboss it, and you'll get the ink on your piece of paper as well as the embossed areas, and it'll look very nice. But the other thing you can do that I wanted to mention, if you don't have one of these, you can take your Cricut or your Cameo or whatever cutting machine that you might have and cut out a pattern on a piece of paper and then use that as a stencil. And then you put that on there and you stencil over top of it, just like you would with this, only you're using a piece of paper that you can then throw away or you can use on a different project. But it adds a really nice pattern to your paper. And then all I did is I took this sheet and mounted it on some red cardstock that I have and cut it so that you could just see the trim. And I also did the same thing with the stamp and the little circles, and I adhered them all together for this pretty finished product. So I really love the look of this. It's very simple to do, and it takes, you know, barely any time. Now you can use this kind of ink pad, you can use a makeup sponge, you can use any ink that you have, any color. On Kraft paper, darker colors show up just a bit better. So good luck, and if you're going to try an embossing folder, make sure you actually run it through your Cuttlebug or whatever kind of machine you have, because it doesn't work to just press it on there the way I tried it. Okay, so this is my finished product, and I hope you enjoyed this simple, easy tutorial. Thanks, and have a great day.